Alright, since I haven't done as much with comics lately, I can basically put some links below to some various stuff. But, and to me, I honestly don't care about the whole association game. No, if you're a creator that puts out comics on time, or at least mostly on time, again, I'm pretty understanding when it comes to, like, oh no, the printing presses are having trouble because they're using the excuse of koof to blah, 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 that sort of thing. And heck, I can even understand if there's a delay because it's like, oh, we have to frame this better, or especially when it comes to any kind of visual medium, you want to make sure you put out the best thing that you can put out according to what your team and everything can do. So this whole point of this little mini vid here is just to showcase some projects that I backed and some that are still maybe a little bit in development, but they all have roundabout good teams, methinks, and most of them are pretty much planning, to do stuff where most of the item, book slash comic slash whatever is pretty much done, and this is more for like, oh, they got to pay out stuff to print everything, to ship stuff, and like X, Y, or Z. So, without further ado, around the indie sphere, because we're brand zero here, and I don't give a fuck about the Dead 2. That's just the way it is. So, first up is a series that I backed, Deus Vault by John Delarose. Now, it's lovely. It's a lovely story. It's very uplifting, and the art is excellent. So I hope Mr. Jesse White will get even more attention at some point, because he has a very distinct art style that is reminiscent of older style comic books. Back when everybody wanted to have fun and just tell a story. Well, yes, this is definitely telling a story. And I am glad that there's probably going to be more coming down the pipeline eventually. Yes. Because you can't go wrong with that. More Crusader fun. But the overall story does have beginning, middle, and end. So it doesn't leave you hanging. But it also leaves a few seeds where there could be more adventures to be had. Not every comic book has to be like a monthly thing. Some stuff can be just, like a quarterly stuff, kind of like what Cersova does with his magazines and everything, where, every quarter there's a whole lot of stuff coming out, and, you keep the wheelhouse going and everybody interested. But yeah, you don't have to put out monthly comics. Like, heck, nowadays I don't even have time for that. But I do have time for indie friends and others that are trying to make a dent in the grand scheme of things. So overall, I'd recommend getting the hardback if you can still get it. It's delicious, and the colors are great. Mr. Matt did an excellent job on the coloring, and the setup of the whole entire comic book. There's nothing that looks weird or your eye isn't drawn to. You just kind of look at the page and like, this is delicious. I'm going to be saying that a lot about everything in this particular vid anyway. But yeah, worth every penny. And yeah, some people will put out the money to get some really well-made things. But since most of, the Dead IP land doesn't get my money or attention anymore, I have more money to save up for when indies do need to have a grand old time in fun wheelhouses I enjoy. Because make no mistake, Deus Vault, even though it has, the Crusader versus demons, the Crusader himself is basically, how to put this, filled with virtues, Because everybody's always going on and on about, oh, you gotta make sure your character has enough faults. It's like, make sure your character has enough virtues as well. You'll definitely see that in this story, and at the heart of it is how people can overcome things with the right kind of motivations, and even, dare I say it, courtly love. There you go. Because that's what I enjoy the most. It's like, I don't need to see the lots of bedroom antics on stream, but genuine connection and love between two people, that's always heartwarming to me. So Sir Domingo, we hope to see you again someday, real soon. Okay, so then the next one I'm going to talk a little bit more about is, Cider's whole campaign with the Colossals is definitely pinging on my, oh, this is my wheelhouse kind of radar, because the more I look at it, it's like, wow, we took stuff from a lot of the same things, but just went in different directions. Kind of like how me and Draco went in different directions with Uplift Protocol versus Star Wars, and you know what? I'll even link those below too. It's Indie Central here today, but yeah, I just like the fact that more I see of Colossals, the more I think I'm going to enjoy it, because having Star Supreme go up against her evil doppelganger. I supremely enjoy those types of things. And yes, I know some people don't like kind of multiverse angles, but to me, you can still have fun with a multiverse while still staying true to what central characters you do have. But I can also see, like I said in the other video, where Mr. Razorfist was upset by how, lazy Hollywood was being with that. But then again, it's Hollywood. They're going to be doing rehashes probably for the next 10 to 15 years, if not more. But what really got me with the Colossals is it's kind of like a mishmash of like cosmic elements that I enjoy. Like, you get the greater scope of like there's something happening out there beyond Earth versus like what's happening on Earth, and then you get the idea that the multiverse could be a vast thing, but they're going to condense it down to telling a kind of very personal story. Plus, I like the fact that he's coming in with the angle that Star Supreme is a mom, and already doing all these sorts of things while juggling being a mother. But you couldn't do that without it basically becoming into how shall I say this, like soap opera. No, there is a particular brand of drama that Western cape and spandex comics can do, and most indies are tapping into that. You can have the craziness of Earth versus a cosmic conflict. You can have multiverses. You can have evil doppelgangers. You can have kind of like Green Lantern meets Power Ranger kind of mishmash of capabilities and powers. I mean, just looking at the overall cover page from this, it's going to be chock full of everything he's ever enjoyed, at least based from what I can see here. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to keep my eyeballs on this, and I like the fact that he's extending the campaign to let people pop in, because, yeah, depending on how things go within real life and all the bill payments and everything else that people have to go through, it's good to extend stuff out so people can join in even at a later date. And besides, it's not launching until July of next year, so people will have plenty of time to tap in and give stuff a look-see. I think it's the reason why I like the fact that sometimes with some Kickstarter campaigns, they will extend it. The initial launch will be more than just the standard 30 days. It gives people time to take a look and see if it's something they want, and then it's like, oh, okay, I can tap in and help out here. That, and I personally like it when a campaign, say like you back the physical tier, but it comes with the digital stuff as well. Because I get it, sometimes getting physical stuff, especially if the creator is outside the US, and then you get to see like, oh, this is what international customers have to deal with. That's why I think it's important to have the digital options, so that way you can expand your stuff out further. Granted, I get it. You have to have physical options so the shipping and stuff count towards the overall part of the, fulfilling the campaign. But I think it's something vital to have, just in case. Because sometimes you will have fan bases that are outside your home country. Like, to carry on to another project, Exilium, I decided to back the physical portion to get all the physical books that have been released, because I liked Alterna's take on the digital platform for the first season of Exilium. But for me, ordering it as an American customer, for it to pop in, it's going to be like $35 Australian to get it to pop in over here on America. So I'm pretty much for that package, for the whole shipping and handling and everything else, it's pretty much going to be $90 to get everything to basically ship back to the United States. So that's something on this end where most of the creators end up usually being from America, and I've seen some from the UK and some from other places. But in general, I don't really get to see the full brunt of what international shipping is like unless I, basically set up with Exilium. It's like, But I think it's going to be worth it because I really enjoyed Season 1, and it looks like it's going to have a very nice hardcover for Season 1 in that package. And then I'll catch up with the rest of it to see where the story is going. And then most likely, once they have another campaign that will collect everything together, kind of like what I've done with Common America and Black Ops, I'll be like, oh, I'm going to back the omnibus. They finally have enough together to back the omnibus. And even in Common American's campaign, they have it to where you can buy the omnibus and it comes with the digital thing as part of that tier, like automatically. So that way, while you're waiting for your physical book to show up, you can read the digital stuff. That it's just simple stuff that I enjoy when I do back things. It's like giving people that option is always a good idea, because you never know where your fan base ends up living. Yeah, I guess for today, the last one I'll mention is, even though it's like kind of like a dual promo, that Arc Athena setup that Iconic Comics is going with. I'm gonna definitely give that campaign a look-see. I'll have to wait until next payday because it's on Indiegogo. So with Kickstarter, I just plot out like, okay, I mark the date on my calendar, like, okay, it's going to charge your card at this time. So it allows me to plan ahead, around possible bills or other shenanigans. But with Indiegogo, I have to make sure it's like, okay, I have to wait until actual payday, and then I will back this particular Indiegogo because, it takes the funds, right there. So in one way, you've paid your stuff out of the way with Indiegogo, but in another, Kickstarter will also let you plan ahead and be like, okay, I have to make sure I hold off this amount of funds to back these guys when the time comes. But this Arc Athena thing looks like it might be up my alleyway, where it's kind of like, it's definitely science fiction based. But usually Iconic Comics wants to do stuff that gives a more uplifting story. Sure, it could have some darker elements, but in general, from what I've seen of most of their kind of backlog, they pretty much try to, they don't beat you into the dirt. They try to uplift people, and yes, they do have the drama that you kind of expect in most of these stories, but it's not like protagonist of Edge McEdge. It looks like the Arc Athena thing is going to be using its characters to kind of play off each other, to showcase like, hey, this is what these set of characters had to go through versus what the characters that are on like the front page, or kind of like the poster children, versus what the actual job entails. Kind of like a flip side of the coin. That's just the impression I get from seeing from the preview. And again, I'll link this preview below. They said they're going to be launching later tonight. And, you never know. There's so much projects going on out there right now that why genuinely waste so much time covering Dead 2 stuff? I get that people want to because they have like all these characters that they cared about. But there's a whole lot of indies out there that are recreating archetypes people could enjoy if they only gave them a little bit more of the time of day. So that's the whole purpose of this channel. I'm just trying to give them a little bit more of time of day and a little bit more of a platform. So have a good day, everybody, and check out the links below. See if you find anything you like.